Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my review for Marvel's What If, Episode 5. Um, I don't actually know what this one is like fully called. But it's the zombie episode. We all knew this was coming. This was a hugely poorly kept secret. Like with all the advertising for the series, we knew the zombie episode was coming, but talking about it further, we'll get into spoiler territory. So, um, we will begin with spoilers for this episode in three, two, one, now. This episode had potential, but I feel like it just didn't hit it. There was a lot of good stuff about this, but it never quite hit the potential that it had. And I'll get to that in a minute as to why. But let's talk about this. So, the gist of this, it takes place when Bruce Banner Hawk falls back down to Earth to warn everybody about Thanos coming and everything. Except this time, as he falls back down, he comes to a world that is ravaged by a zombie outbreak. We find out that the zombie outbreak started because when Hank Pym went to the quantum realm to find his wife, she had contracted a quantum virus within the quantum realm, which basically it's just the zombie virus. It's just a way to explain how the zombie virus happened in this world. She ends up infecting him. He comes back from the quantum realm, and then the infection just spreads like wildfire, as zombie infections tend to do. And it's pretty wild to see all of these heroes we know and love as zombies. Um, so Bruce has to team up with other survivors, which include Hope Van Dyne, Okoye, and Bucky Barnes, as well as, of course, Spider-Man, to fight back the zombie hordes and to find some kind of safety or some kind of cure. And that's basically the gist of it. The issue here with me is that it one feels very formulaic for a zombie story. Like it follows all of the beats and not necessarily in a good way, not necessarily in a terrible way or anything, but it just feels very generic. The only thing that makes it a little more exciting is getting to see the heroes use their abilities and powers and stuff on the zombies and whatnot, but it really doesn't add enough for me. The second issue is that the episode just ends. It has no actual conclusion, no satisfying final act to it. It just ends. And I know this is What If. I know that with this kind of series, there's not meant to necessarily be this full, conclusive, strong story from start to finish. It's just a hypothetical scenario thrown at us to kind of get our brains turning. But all of the previous episodes had some level of finality to them. They had a plot that was completed. With Captain Carter, you had the entire issue with taking on Hydra and defeating the Red Skull, and then she ended up in the future. Yeah, there's more that could be done with that, of course, but the specific plot of the story was finished. With T'Challa, you had the fight against the Collector, and that was concluded. With even with the Who Killed the Avengers episode, which I still say should have been two episodes for pacing reasons. Even with that, it had a complete story. All of the episodes prior to this had a complete story. This didn't. This felt like it was maybe the first act of a three-act story. And it just felt unsatisfying because of that. So basically, our heroes go throughout the world, have they come across multiple uh heroes who have been infected and stuff. We get to see like Iron Man, we get to see Captain America, yada yada yada. They eventually find this location that the zombies won't go further into, and they find out it's because of Vision. Because of the stone, the Infinity Stone he has, the zombies will not move further in. It's deterring them. Once inside, they start working with him and finding out that he's discovered a cure. And this is evidenced by the disembodied head in a jar of Ant-Man, which it's like that just it gave me Futurama vibes, honestly, with the disembodied head in a jar talking to them and all. Um, and we also find out that through all of this, Vision has also been keeping a zombified Wanda alive and has been luring people to the place they're at. I don't know if it's like some kind of army base or something. I'm not sure, but he's been luring people there in order to feed them to his wife, to Wanda, zombie Wanda, including T'Challa, who is there and is alive but missing a leg. Um, but they managed to allow him to help him see the wrongs of what he's done. And as they fight Zombie Wanda, who got loose, he sacrifices himself to try and help stop it all, as well as to give them the Infinity Stone, which is part of the cure. And so they head to Wakanda, where they'd be able to use Wakanda's advanced technology to send out the signal that would cure people all over the world. And then it shows zombie Thanos, and it just kind of ends. It has no satisfying conclusion at all. It's honestly not that interesting in its presentation outside of, just zombies in the MCU. And it just feels like it doesn't do anything new or special. You see many of the characters throughout the episode die, many of the characters who are on our side and everything. You see them die in various ways. You see many zombie deaths and everything, and it's just like nothing seems altogether super interesting about it. It's just kind of there. Like when I think of really good zombie stories, I think of the likes of Train to Busan, which did the zombie genre in such a unique, fresh way that it honestly kind of revitalized it on its own. I also think of another South Korean zombie movie, Hashtag Alive, which was such a unique spin on zombies and a zombie survivor story specifically that it felt new and interesting, and they did new and interesting things with it. This just feels like let's just take the most generic ass zombie ideas ever and just put it into the MCU. And then there's one thing that really confused me. Zombies are usually portrayed as mindless, right? They usually don't really think. There's some exceptions in some media where there are smart zombies, but usually even in those media, the smart zombies are the exception. They're the like variants that you find. While most of the zombies in that media are still very dumb. Every single zombie in this was extremely smart. So much so that they knew exactly how to use their abilities and powers even as zombies, to a point where it was distracting. It was distracting to see zombie Wanda so masterfully use her powers. because honestly, it just made no sense. It was distracting to see zombie Iron Man have full control of his suit, and so on and so forth. It did not make sense to do it that way. Every zombie in this had full control, had full like knowledge of how to handle pretty much everything. And they the ones that were are taken out and killed, well, killed, just torn apart basically, and everything, are just because they're done so by other heroes and stuff with their own powers. And it just doesn't feel right to have these zombies be so smart so consistently. And it's never even addressed. Like they never even mention it. Not even any of the characters bring up that, oh, these zombies are pretty smart. Even Peter, who is very much kind of the relatable character in the episode because he's the one who knows about zombie apocalypses. He's watched the movies and everything. There's a lot of jokes in the episode about how he is more prepared for it and knows all of the tropes and everything. Um, Even he never once questions that these zombies appear to be excessively smart, despite it going against almost every piece of zombie media. Even in Train to Busan, which I feel personally is the best piece of zombie media ever, the zombies are not smart. They're dumb as bricks. They're easily tricked. They're aggressive, they're twitchy, they're creepy, they're fast, but they're not smart. Zombies, by nature, are supposed to be mindless, instinctual monsters. They act fully on instinct and do not think. They do not strategize or formalize. They just act with one solitary goal in mind: to eat. That's what a zombie is. It is an animated corpse that acts on instinct with the solitary goal of eating. And again, multiple incarnations of zombie movies and stuff have had variants. There have been zombies in various media that are smarter or have differences to them. Zombieland even covers this really notably. The Zombieland movies touch on the idea of different types of zombies. But the problem is, again, when all of your zombies are like this, it doesn't seem believable. And you could say like, oh, but that, well, if all the zombies are like that, that's just how the zombies are in this world. And it's like, yes, but it just they don't feel like zombies. And I know it's technically a quantum virus and everything, but still, it just didn't feel right to me. Um, Most of the voice actors in this are the same as the MCU. There's a couple exceptions, like Spider-Man wasn't the same, and it was noticeable in this one. Unlike the last one, where I thought it was a different actor portraying Doctor Strange because he sounded slightly different. It was actually Benedict Cumberbatch, but here it's not Spider-Man. It's really noticeable here. But you have most of the same cast returning, and they all do a great job for what they're given. They do a great job. I just think this was one of the weakest episodes of this series so far, and it's really disappointing because it has one of the best premises. Hell, there's even a portion of the episode where they're on a train, and it's like, oh, could this be a homage to Train to Busan? They don't do anything with it. There's two zombies during that entire scene. One of them is turned, by the other. The one that's turned is Sharon Carter, rather. And the one that turns her is Steve Rogers, Captain America. And they're handled really quickly and easily, and it just that's it. So it clearly didn't feel like if it was supposed to be, it didn't feel like an homage to Train to Busan at all, just because it was zombies on a train. That's not enough. And it just felt weak to me. Again, there were some good moments. There really were. And the characters were handled well. I truly believe this is how the characters would react to this kind of situation. All of them. Even Vision, who had been doing some bad stuff by luring people in to feed piece by piece to his zombified wife. Like, I believe that. I believe Vision would do that. And I believe that these heroes would team up and everything. I believe all of this would happen. That's not the issue. The issue is how it's handled, how it's written, how the zombies are portrayed. That's my issue. And they make a joke in this episode that's, you know what it's referencing, and it just feels so shallow. Um, you know the joke, the meme people have made about what if Ant-Man just shrunk, flew up into Thanos's butt and expanded, blowing him up from the inside. You know that thing that was just so ridiculously stupid in the first place. They made that reference here because although it doesn't like go into full detail about it, Hope Van Dyne, uh, as the Wasp, flies inside of zombified Sharon Carter and expands, blowing her up from the inside. And all that comes out of it is an offhanded line, an offhanded joke. Ew, I'm covered in Sharon. And it's just so stupid. It's like you know what they were doing there. You know why they did it, but it's so fucking dumb. Not even dumb in a good way. The fact that they reference that, obviously with it being Hope instead of Ant-Man and zombie Sharon Carter instead of Thanos, but still, the fact that they reference that of all things is so fucking dumb. And I just don't feel like this episode really understood how to handle this situation, how to handle this what if, this hypothetical. It just wanted to do it. The writers just wanted to do zombies and did not think about how to actually make it work. And so they just did zombies. And it's weak to me. If any of you liked it, if any of you really loved it, that's fine. It's all personal opinion. But for me it was weak. It wasn't terrible or anything. It wasn't like really bad, but it wasn't that good either. I just feel like they could have put more effort into this, and it should have had a definitive ending. The fact that it didn't have a definitive ending, like the rest of it, just felt like it just felt wrong. It felt like it was incomplete. It was such a great idea, just ruined by lack of forethought. But Tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Marvel's What If? And thank you all so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.